remember that when I first got here and I didn't know anything about lowriding and nothing about that thing, and I met that guy and he had a t-shirt, and I was literally only here a week or two, and it said, Rucas, Caruchas y Rolas, son mi hondo, or something like that. So I'm like, what's that mean, man? And he's like, Rucas, he goes, that's your, your girlfriend from your old neighborhood, your high school sweetheart or something. And I goes, Caruchas, he goes, that's your car, your old car, your bomb, your pride and joy, I'm like, yeah, And I goes, Rolas, he goes, oh man, that's your old favorite song, the one that makes you cry, your girl's favorite jam. I'm like, man, that's this, this guy's speaking my language, And I go, what's son mi hondo? And he's like, thinks for a second, he goes, that's my spirit, that's my bag, And I said to myself, like, I'm gonna like it here in L.A., you know what I mean? Those are good things to hold sacred right there, So there it is there, man. Mark Douglas Patrick Mahoney from beautiful West Newton, Massachusetts, and I'm up over here on the Sunset Strip in Hollywood, doing my little boogie woogie over here every day. I like that, the tattooer in England from the 1910 or 1915 had on his business card where the elite and the underworld meet. And that's kind of been the Shamrock motto since I've been here. Gotta have the mix of people for the excitement. When I was in New York and downtown, I'd sometimes go to watch, John Gotti come in and out of the Raven Night. I was interested in that stuff. But mostly, like I say, I have been, you go to the tattoo shops in the old days, and them motherfuckers was mean, they treat you, everything you get the gruff one-word answer. So I wanted a place where people would, feel welcome or whatever. So it ain't the Shamrock Anti-Social Club, it's the social club. So you come in, you relax, have a good time. I think, people remember the nights they got tattooed, later in life or whatever. That's one of those things that you remember about your life. So I want to make that as memorable and as nice of experience as it can be, Tattooing was illegal in Massachusetts, so when I was, before I started tattooing and just, wanted to get tattoos or just went down with the older guys from the neighborhood, we'd all have to go to Rhode Island. And I came to L.A. to go legit. I had worked in New York, underground in my apartment by CBGB's and the Chelsea Hotel, and I had worked at the motorcycle clubhouses all over New England. And, every time I saw a really good tattoo, bright colors, beautiful lines, it would always be from the Pike in Long Beach, from Burt Grimm's, Bob Shaw's. So I came out here with the intention of going to work at the Pike. I had been around those, like the New York punk scene or whatever. It really wasn't very violent, there was some random violence. I remember someone came up and hit a Hell's Angel on the head at the bar at CBGB's, with a pitcher of beer. It just came up out of the blue. But that was how violence was back there. It wasn't any kind of organized or whatever. And I had to beat up one of the Ramones one time myself, looking at me funny. But yeah, in LA, that's one of the things I liked about it, is it was the LA punk scene was violent. It was action, it was a whole different thing, man. And and these guys were, having these organized crews, and it, that was fascinating to me. I dug that. I had a party the first 6 months or a year or so I was here at my house in Long Beach, and all my friends were either like hardcore bikers or punk rockers, and I was trying to get photographs of my work. I didn't have any pictures, so I had a photographer set up in one room, and the sun's setting, and there's like 6 or 7 like old gray bearded, like outlaw bikers, and 6 or 7 like Mohawk punk rockers. And one of the bikers gets on his bike and he's getting ready to leave. I'm like, hey, where you going? He's like, oh man, it's gonna get ugly. These people ain't gonna get along. they're different, you know. And I'm thought like, how are they different? They both like tattoos and leather jackets and to drink beer and get laid, you know, what's the difference? But, you know, it got me nervous. I hadn't even thought about that. So he roars off and I'm like, oh shit. The Vandals were gonna play and everything. But anyway, it turned out to be this fabulous, successful party. And all the old bikers got the fucking young punk rock girls. They were thrilled. The girls, everybody was happy, man. The Vandals got to play maybe 10 songs before the cops came. But it was a great party. And that was kind of symbolic of where I was at when I first got out here. And, you know, and still where I'm at now. Same kind of thing. I tried to work on Sid Vicious 3 or 4 times. He'd come to my house, or I'd go to the Chelsea and set everything up, and then he couldn't decide, or he'd get in a fight with his old lady. Nancy had been a friend of mine before she went to England. We had known her, and she left her cat at my loft in the Lower East Side there. She told us she was going to get Johnny Rotten and come back with him. She got lucky. She come back with Sid, man. My first boss out here, Colonel Todd, that's how he came to L.A. or come to Long Beach, because Bob Shaw was an old sweetheart and he couldn't fire anybody. So he brought this badass out from Kentucky, Colonel Todd, and he would thump on my chest and yell at me every day, you know, but it's still hard whenever you gotta let somebody go. I mean, it's like a relationship. It's like a family, you know. You get close. We have these long shifts, you know, and you're with people all day long, and if they're going through a breakup or whatever, it's, you know, you're affected by it, you know. When they're happy, it makes you happy. It's, you know, it's the good and the bad of it. You know, when I was coming back from getting some coffee one day or something, and I see Colonel Todd crouched behind a car shooting at a guy that owned another tattoo shop down the way, you know, so I'm like, oh shit, there's my boss, and I had my 38 with me, so I'm like, oh shit, I bet I should do this, you know, so get behind the car next to him and, you know, pull my shit out, and we're just shooting at each other, you know, it was like a dream, you know. But, you know, who knows, I can't remember why or whatever, but there was just that real animosity that there wasn't that many tattooers, and there really weren't that many people getting tattooed, so you had to kind of protect, you know, do whatever you could to protect your groove. People will always get tattooed when their life changes, you know what I mean? When they get divorced, when they break up with someone, when someone dies, you know, when they, you know, whenever something dramatic, your life takes a dramatic turn, that's when you get a tattoo, you know? Well, I just wanted to tattoo as quickly as I could, you know. I knew that's what I needed to be doing from the second I walked into Buddy Mott's tattoo shop in Newport, Rhode Island with the older guys. And I was maybe 14. I was like, oh, that's it. So if I'd, you know, if someone had offered me an apprenticeship before Mark Hurley came in my pad with a tall case of Budweisers with a bunch of tattoo equipment, I would have done it that way. And, you know, probably would have been better off, but, you know, I was lucky. I learned the basics from Mark and tattooing Mark, and then I got to, you know, learn the old school ways from Colonel Todd at like the best shop there is in the West Coast for that kind of stuff. And then I got to learn the ways of black and gray with, you know, Jack Rudy and Mike Brown and stuff. So it might have been, you know, a back-asswards way, but I ended up getting what I needed out of this deal. There's something for everybody, and you can pretty much come here and get everything like that. This is, you know, it's a street shop, and it's not like arty-farty. We're not all sitting around here painting all the time, and someone comes in to want to get a tattoo, and we're like, I'm sorry, I'm in the middle of being Pierre the artiste over here. it's a, it's a street shop, but it's just at the very highest level, that you can come in and get whatever you want and start it that day, and that's a miracle in this day and age.